We've got a great presentation for you. We've been doing this product showcase series for a year now, 6 of them. This is our 6th presentation, and it's basically opposite to the month that the road ahead is. So every month there's something that you may gain value from. I do recommend reviewing them. They are recorded and they are in communities, and we do share that with you as they are released through the In Case You Missed It email. So my name is Peter McLaren. I'm the Senior Customer Success Manager for Vertigis North America. Lucas is a Solutions Engineer extraordinaire, if I may say so myself. And together we're going to present reporting. So Vertigis Studio Reporting, one of the key products that are part of our framework. So please place your questions in the go-to question box, and we'll try to answer them post-presentation. Any deep dives of any product that you do see here, we can do that at a later time at your convenience. And please note that the discussion of the software today will be from a showcase type of level. The recording and slides we hope to make available post-presentation. So with that, let's just jump right in. Okay, so this is the agenda. We're going to go through a little bit of an introduction, talk about Esri and Vertigis and how our platforms work together. We'll be looking a little bit at Vertigis Studio, the transition from GeoCortex to Studio. And then Lucas will focus on why Vertigis Studio Reporting, an introduction to Vertigis Studio Reporting, some tips and tricks, an experience builder comparison, and then a demo. And then I'll wrap this presentation up, and I think we'll go forward. So we've done a number of presentations over the last year. I think many of you may have attended, but if this is your first one, we've done a framework, web, workflow, search, printing, and now reporting. They've all been recorded and they are available for watching at your convenience. In 2026, we've been looking at what kind of comes next. And I think what comes next are the admin tools, analytics, access control, and item manager. We'll also look at SaaS and cloud, with Neo becoming a core part of our technology framework. And I think it's important to kind of look at that. I think that SaaS just has incredible value for just enabling your GIS. We'll also be looking at mobile and Studio Pro. Desktop Pro, which is sort of a newer product that we've had out for a little bit. So the first thing, I guess we'll just jump right into a poll to keep things interesting. So if you're currently using Vertigis Studio, have you enabled Studio Reporting? I see that it seems like there's quite a number of people that have implemented reporting. So I think you'll gain a lot of value today from this presentation. And if you haven't, well, there's a range of value propositions that we've got around reporting that hopefully you can implement and get that value. Things have kind of slowed down. You still have another 10 seconds to have your status or your position known. Excellent. So we're getting close to 46% of the attendees have voted so far. Let's just give it another few seconds. I think there's a few stragglers that it is lunchtime in Eastern North America and Central North America. So sure, the people are just kind of like going in and out and grabbing some lunch. And so we'll give it another few seconds. Okay, we're at 50% have voted. So with that, we're going to start closing the poll down and share the results with you. Okay, so close to 60% of the audience today have enabled reporting. 12% have not, and 25% are not using Studio currently. So if you are using GeoCortex, reporting is backwards compatible. And I think Lucas, you might go over that maybe later in the presentation, how we can use reporting even with Studio Reporting with GeoCortex. So that is definitely an approach that's worthwhile to review and take. With that, I'm going to close the poll and go back to the presentation. So we've got proven solutions for a lot of different areas or a lot of different verticals, the big one being government agencies. And as you can see, we've got a lot of different reporting kind of types of reports. So parcel reporting, capital project reporting. With that, let's just take a look at some quick ones here. Here, Anne Arundel, they've got a great general information report. Santa Fe County assessors, they've got a property corrections report. When we look at AEC and transportation, quite often municipalities and other government agencies work with these other agencies. So definitely sharing reporting is quite important. Asset and project reporting and other types of reporting definitely do come to mind. Here we've got MassDOT, their road inventory year-end report. I know before they were using Vertigis, I think that it took them quite a while to actually create this kind of report. Now it takes literally minutes as opposed to days. And then this is one of my favorite ones. This is a detailed damage inspection report. Like when I've used it in the past, it's sort of like scenario planning. Being able to change different figures and then run it. So basically an Excel spreadsheet in Studio, quite interesting and very effective. So a second poll to keep things even more interesting and keep the conversation flowing. I'll just launch that right now. So the question is, what challenges do you hope Vertigis Studio Reporting could help you solve? I'll go ahead and launch that poll right now. So Lucas, did you have any thoughts on the previous poll?
No, well, I will say it's good to have folks who haven't used Studio before on the line. Hoping that you guys learned something new today. What I kind of do for Vertigis is I help folks just like you who haven't heard of Vertigis Studio, and I kind of walk them through the platform and what the capabilities are. So if you're looking for more information apart from what we're going to talk about today, which is reporting, happy to connect with you and help you learn more about what we have to offer.
Excellent. That's very, very good. Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, so this question's been out for about a minute, and we've got about 36% of you have voted. We'll give it another little while just to see if we can get a few more people to respond to that. But we're seeing some interesting figures here. Any thoughts on what we're seeing here, Lucas?
It's interesting. So automating workflows, it's actually tied with combining spatial and non-spatial data right now. It was in the lead, but now, and it's changing actively now. But yeah, what do we have here? Okay, automating workflows is back on top now. People are still voting here. But yeah, I mean, that makes sense. We'll take a look at an example basically of later in the presentation of work order management and reporting and how to automate that a little bit. So hopefully that's of interest to you. But.
Excellent. So we're coming up to 2 minutes with the poll. I'm going to go ahead and close it and share the results. And it seems that automation or automating workflow seems to have won, so to speak. It seems like it's very ordered. That's very interesting. Very, very ordered, followed by combining spatial and non-spatial data, branding and formatting reports. Always important to have branding that meets the requirements of your organization. And real-time data integration followed by compliance documentation. Excellent. Thank you so much. Go ahead and close the poll, move forward with the presentation.
And I will say, Pierre, before you move on, for those of you that answered the automating workflows, feel free to put it in the chat a little bit more specific on what you mean by that. Automating workflows it's a little bit broad, but we'd love to learn more about what you're trying to accomplish specifically, and we can have a conversation in the chat here. So feel free to do that.
Excellent, thank you. So moving forward, I think it's important to always explain a little bit about our history. We've been partners with Esri for quite a while, back with ArcIMS days. I know a lot of you in the room are familiar with ArcIMS. It didn't really do what people thought it would do sometimes, and very challenging. It was a great technology, but complicated to actually deploy. I think my screen just it's happening a bit. But let's move forward. And, all the way to Experience Builder and Enterprise and Portal. So we follow Esri very closely, making sure that we're online with their vision and aligned with their vision. Again, we've seen the slide before, but really, I guess the basic takeaway is that, reporting is part of the new unbundled solutions, application products. And we see reporting, surpassed functional equivalence. I think it's really far surpassed the functional equivalence that was back with the GeoCortex reporting capability. And I love this slide really about where we have been and you will see the slide frequently when Cam does his road ahead. We see that reporting, there was 2 releases this year, one I think in October, and I don't quite have the roadmap for 2026, but Cam will be sharing that in December. So do come forward or do attend the road ahead to learn more about 2026. And again, just going through this very briefly, the reporting capability or reporting product is saved as an item within ArcGIS Online. And then the other capabilities that kind of make up the entire solution. So with that, Lucas, I will let you present from your computer.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Peter. Let me just share my screen here. Okay, perfect. All right, so today we're going to do 3 things. So we'll dive into a brief introduction to what Vertigis Studio Reporting is, talk about what the product is, what the platform really provides, and why organizations utilize Vertigis Studio Reporting. And we'll also take a look at specific customer examples. We'll look at Georgia Power, the city of Bellingham, and Colorado DOT. And then we'll dive into some tech tips and tricks, specifically around the design experience. So how to basically get a report up and running in just under 10 minutes. We'll be able to do that. And then last but not least, we'll take a look at what Experience Builder has to offer, how it stacks up against Vertigis Studio Reporting's capabilities. And specifically, we'll look at development, we'll look at maintenance, and the total cost of ownership. So what is Vertigis Studio Reporting? Reporting is a no to low code report template building tool that allows users to generate dynamic data-driven PDF reports from your web, mobile, and desktop applications. So going back to what Peter said about reporting for GeoCortex applications, you could do that as well. So you could use this interface that you see on the right-hand side here to drag and drop and build your report through drag and drop capabilities, and utilize that within Experience Builder, within GeoCortex, ArcGIS Pro, and of course, Vertigis Studio Web and mobile applications as well. Now, that's kind of the building side of it. Now, in terms of the end user perspective, reporting allows and empowers end users to generate reports on their own. So on the right-hand side, we have an example of a work order status dashboard built with Vertigis Studio Web. And at the bottom left here, we have a button to generate a PDF copy of this dashboard. So in a lot of cases, web applications are fantastic and it meets the need for most use cases. But a lot of the times we need to go one step further and actually generate hard copies, whether we want to print it out or simply just email it to someone within our organization or client or customer of ours. And so that's what Vertigis Studio Reporting provides. Now, why do organizations use reporting? So going off my last point there, it makes your GIS more accessible. So most of our customers, they work with ArcGIS Pro, they do their data analysis, and then they publish their data through feature services on Portal or ArcGIS Online. And for a lot of times that does make their GIS more accessible. And if going on my last point, if you do want to go one step further and provide solutions and applications and provide capabilities like PDF reports for your end users, it's just one other way of making your GIS more accessible to your end users. Now, the second point here is that it brings your data together. Now, integration with ArcGIS can be a difficult task. So if you're thinking about connecting to third-party systems or APIs or other internal databases, that can be something that's a challenge for most organizations. And so reporting makes that easy. We'll see in a few minutes here, just being able to connect to third-party systems and databases to bring in data into your reports. And so that was another big key in the poll that we saw was bringing in spatial and aspatial data. Part of that is data that's not in your GIS too. So that's something that Vertige Studio Reporting excels at, and this is the second main reason why organizations utilize it. And the last piece here is that Vertige Studio Reporting provides the most comprehensive set of tools for reporting within the ArcGIS ecosystem. So organizations come to us because we have the latest capabilities, because we have the most advanced capabilities to create those enterprise reports that they need for their organizations, for their organization. Now I want to move to Georgia Power here. You're going to see a presentation from Jeff and Arnav later in the day here. But Georgia Power, what they did was they, without revealing too much of their project, but they created a site selection application to help businesses find the best sites for them to acquire and develop within the state of Georgia. And so they built a fantastic application. We won't get into it. We'll leave that to their presentation. But I wanted to highlight one of the reports that they built for property, so property report. And that's the report that you can see on the right-hand side here. And I just want to call out a few things. So the professional styling that they did a fantastic job of just disseminating large amounts of information in a way that is easily, easy to read and easy to look at too. It's easy on the eyes, right? You have property information, tax information, transportation, demographics, workforce information. And they did it in a seamless manner here with a fantastic chart at the bottom as well. So, and this is actually a multi-page report. I just have the first page screenshotted in this slide here. But what Jeff is saying at the bottom of this slide in a quote is he was trying to find a solution that makes use out of the skills that his team had. Instead of a one-size-fits-all solution, oftentimes we think of, Experience Builder or ArcGIS dashboards or other things like that may fit a simple need, but if you're trying to find a solution that makes use of the capabilities that your team has and trying to create an application with all the features, functions, and reports that you want, that's one of the main reasons why Jeff came to us to make use of Vertige Studio Reporting. Now, the city of Bellingham, we'll take a look at what they did here in a second. But what they did and what a lot of organizations do is they create parcel reports with our studio reporting technology. And the great thing about the city of Bellingham is that they actually put this on their official city website. So a lot of organizations, they utilize Studio Web, our web application building framework, to build web apps and place their reporting widgets on there, kind of like what we saw in that dashboard view, where we could print off a printed copy of that work order status dashboard. The city of Bellingham and a few other of our customers that we work with, they place this directly on their city site. So they recognize that a lot of members of the public, they don't need that map. They just need a simple, address lookup, and they want that report. And so a couple other neat things that they did was that they integrated multiple data sources, and they also provided links directly to another third-party site, their county assessor site. And so let me bring up their site here. Again, this is their official City of Bellingham website here. And they just give you two options: search by address, search by parcel code. We'll do an address here, and we're going to search for 2314, and we're just going to search for this address. We're simply going to select build report, and this official city website is going to connect to Vertige Studio Reporting, and it's going to generate the report here. So we have a map, we have assessor information, and we also have a link to the county assessor site as well. We also have zoning and school and watershed information as well. But here's the county assessor site. Again, they just did a fantastic job of making it simple and reducing the amount of time that the public has to spend finding this type of data, right? It's pretty easy. So they did a great job doing that. Now, Colorado DOT, this is the last example I want to touch on. There's, so many different examples that I could touch on. We could spend the whole hour doing this, but Colorado DOT did a great job with automating their regulatory reporting, specifically when it comes to water quality control inspection reports. So this is a type of report that they have to submit to the EPA. And in the past, before utilization of studio reporting, they used to take them 5 to 10 hours per report, and they had hundreds of reports per year. So this is massive time savings over the course of the year. They save thousands of hours by creating report templates, just like what you see on the right-hand side here, and automating this type of reporting. And so I just want to briefly show an example of that report here. But just keep in mind that this is a multi-page report as well. So we have a map, we have the inspection data, inspector name, data of that nature, and then images of the surrounding site. So this could be taken from Vertigus Studio mobile application and directly taken to update your feature services. Then when you generate the report on whether it be the mobile app or a Studio Web application, it can find those feature attachments and put that on the report. So again, this is a multi-page report, so it's pretty extensive here, but just wanted to show that as a fantastic example of investing a little time to develop report templates to save massive amounts of time in the long run. So Colorado DOT did a fantastic job. Now I want to move on to our second segment of this product showcase, and that is to talk about some design tips and tricks. So before we get into the actual template and we start building out our report, I just want to highlight that there's essentially 5 simple steps to build out a report. You start out with a report template in our report designer like you see here. You then add a data source. Now again, this could be a feature service within your portal or ArcGIS Online. It could also be an internal database, connection to a third-party system. And then you start dragging and dropping the report elements to start building your template like you see here. And then for those of you who want to include a map within your report, I know we're all GIS folks, we love maps, and so most likely we will include a map in there. Sometimes you don't need to, but what you do here is you connect to a web map within your portal or ArcGIS Online to do so. And then last but not least, you add it to your application. This is Studio Web here, and you can add it in a multitude of different ways, which we can explore in another session, but you could add it, based in a pop-up here on the screen. You have, it's kind of small writing, but you have a work order report when you click on a work order. So, okay, now let's move into the designer for Vertigus Studio Reporting, and I just want to go through a brief tour of the designer so that we're all familiar with what we're looking at before we start building the report. Let's put this in full screen here. In the middle is our template, right? So on the left-hand side is all of the report elements that we can choose from to start dragging and dropping over to create our template. We can add things, of course, like text. We can add tables, images. We can add maps and charts like we see here in the actual template. We could start formatting our tables, our charts, like so. There's all sorts of types of charts that you can do. Today we'll look at building a pie chart like this. And then you could also add attachments. So this is pulling from the features image attachments. So it'll actually put that in the report as well. So there's multiple different types of report elements to choose from. On the left-hand side here, we have a pretty standard file menu. You can import existing reports that you've already created. We'll do that in a few minutes here. And this info tab, I just want to draw your attention to this because this is where our Studio report template this is where it lives. It lives in our ArcGIS Enterprise portal in this case because we have Studio Reporting installed on premises. And what you can see here is that it lives as a web mapping application. And this is where I could set my sharing permissions. So just like any other item in your portal, Vergis Studio Reporting lives in there. So data sources, this is where you can connect all the different data sources that you like to use for your Vergis Studio reports. Now, typically this is the process where you select add data source, and then you select whether you want a feature service to connect to, whether you want an internal database or another system as well. So it's pretty simple in connecting to your data. Once you have your data connected, let's go ahead and delete all this. Once you have your data connected, you will be able to see your data connections in this data sources tab. So we're reporting on work orders here. So I can see my work order table and I can see all the fields within my work orders table. What I could do is actually select what fields I want to report on and actually drag that over to my report template to be able to start building out my table. Now the settings tab is where I can start editing the properties of each report element. So as I select different report elements, you'll see that the settings change. This is where you'll be able to edit those sorts of things. The expressions, now this is where it starts to get a little interesting here. This is where you can advance your report to go from, simple, basic to something that's a little bit more professional and enterprise grade. So let's just say, for example, for work orders that we're reporting on, maybe we want a work order that's completed. This text here, it should be green, right? Or maybe this symbol should be green if it's been completed. What we could do is set up an expression in here to be able to do that. If it's in progress, maybe you want the symbol to be yellow. This is where you'll be able to do this. Now the Report Explorer, this is just a convenient way to look at what your report's made out of. And we can take a look here. We have a page header, we have a group header, we have a detail band. We'll get into what that means in a second. We have this symbol here, label, right? So this is where you can start taking and piecing away at what your report is. You can actually start looking into what your report includes by searching across your report elements as well. And with that pretty much concludes our designer tour. I will also mention that these bands mean different things. So this page header, whatever's in this band here, will repeat for every single page in your report. The detail band, everything within here will repeat for every single feature that you're inputting to the report. So if I have 3 work orders that I want to report on, this detail band will repeat 3 different times. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and move into just a little demo here on how to build your first report, how to get up and running within just a few minutes. And what we're going to do is 3 things. So we'll look at how to use the Vergis Studio sample package as a head start. And if you haven't heard of this resource, I highly recommend you just go ahead and Google Vergis Studio sample package. You'll find our support site, and there's tons of resources in there. It gives you web templates, report, workflow, and print templates as well. And it really gives you a great head start in building your first web application with Vergis Studio. So we'll go ahead and use that to copy over some elements. We'll adjust those as we see fit for our data source. And you could do the same thing at home. So what we'll do then is add the finished report to a web application. And we'll do that all within a few minutes. So let's go ahead and go into our Studio web application, which has already been created for us. And what we're going to do is we have our work orders layer here. It's this layer that's colored in these different colors here. And then what we're going to do is, if we want to select a report or a workflow rather, or a work order, what we want to have is a work order report button like this, right? We already have a work order report. This is finished, but what we're going to do is just create our own. So what I'm going to do is go into the result actions menu, go to add menu item, go to reports, and we'll create a new report directly from this Studio Web Designer interface. And I'll go ahead and choose from our list of templates. So what's nice is I have a wide selection of different page sizes and options. I can actually go ahead and create a workflow to start building out this report. We're not going to go that advanced quite yet. But what we're going to do is just select a simple 8.5 by 11 portrait layout with the table included. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and type in this name here. There we go. We're going to do a work order status report. We're going to hit create. And what that's going to do here is create a new menu item. So if I go ahead and select a work order, I should see that I have this new capability here. When I click that, it should generate my new report. But before we do that, we're actually going to have to build out our report template. So I'm going to open up our report template by just selecting the link here. And let's go ahead and open that up. And let's make sure that I am signed in. Let's go ahead and refresh here. There we go. All right. Now that I have my report template loaded in here, what I can do is, what we're going to do is go to our Studio sample package and actually download the zip file. Again, this includes 2 Vertigo Studio Web sample layouts. It includes several workflows, printing templates, and report templates. We're going to make use of one of these report templates to give us a head start. You can install or download the sample package down here. And what we could do as well, if one of my colleagues wants to put the link in the chat, the attendees can actually get in here and start working on this today after the session as well. So I already have one downloaded. What I'll do is go to File, Import, and I'll select my template from that sample package. The buildings report does a pretty good job in providing the elements that we need in this work order status report. So I'm going to utilize most of the elements I see in this buildings report. Once it loads, we'll take a look at what it includes here. So now that I have my buildings report, I'm just going to zoom out to give you just a snapshot of what it includes. We have a pie chart, a nice little header here with the title, and then we have a simple table, and then we have a map. This is a feature picture box. It's using a web map here, and it has a pretty simple footer. So this has most of the elements that we need. And so what I'll do is I'll just start by selecting a few elements in the header, hit Control-C to copy, and I'll actually just move it over to our report template, or our work order status report template. And so I'll copy that over. I will adjust the image. Let's say we work for the city of Naperville and we want to report on work order statuses. What we're going to do is copy over our logo and adjust the title. There we go. And let's just adjust that like so. Now we have our title, we have our updated logo. And what I'm going to do next is then copy over the chart. I'll move over back to our template. Go ahead and copy this over. And like so, we have our chart. And all I have to do here, I'm just going to adjust this a little bit up a little bit. And then all I have to do is change the title. Status, there we go. And I just have to change, the pie chart already has a lot of the formatting done for me. So I just have to adjust the data source that it's connecting to. Right now, the pie chart is trying to find a buildings data source. we're not reporting on buildings, we're reporting on work orders. So we need to connect our work orders data source here. We then have to adjust what field we want the pie chart to report on. Right now it's trying to get the building use. So that's incorrect. We need to find the status. There we go. So that's going to report on work order status. And just like that, the pie chart is ready to go. Now, next, what I'm going to do is remove the page header. We don't need that anymore. We're just going to make a single page report. So I'm going to go to our Report Explorer and remove this page header from our report. All right, next what I'm going to do is, it comes with this, the template that I selected comes with a simple table. I'm going to delete this because I prefer to use this pre-formatted table in the sample package. And what I'm going to do is just copy that over again, hit Control V to paste that in there. And as we can see, obviously the labels and the fields that we're reporting on, all of this is not going to work for our work order data source. So what I'm going to do is go to our work order table and start to fill this in. So I'm going to change the field to the work order address field. And then we're going to report on status. I'll go ahead and change that. We're going to do the priority of the work order. We are going to report on the city that the work order is within. And then we're also going to do the category. And we're going to take out this bottom row. We don't need that. We're just going to keep it simple for now. And then what we'll do is drag over the required fields. So status, we'll drag that over. Priority, we'll drag and drop that over. We'll find the city and the category here, which is up here. And then you'll notice that the formatting for this table is kind of all over the place, right? We could easily fix that. We just have to select it, go to settings, go to distribute columns evenly, and there we go. So that's adjusted. Now, last but not least, I want to do a couple more things. So I want to add a map. So this report had a map. What I'll do here is just copy that over. Again, paste it in. And I'm just going to make it a small map. We don't need it to be that big. So what I'm going to do is just adjust the table like so. Again, it keeps the distributed columns, which is fantastic. And what I'm going to do is just minimize this map a little bit. And I'm just going to do a few adjustments. So I want to zoom into the map. I want to make sure that I could actually see the work order properly. And I want to see the surrounding features. So I'm going to give it a scale of 5,000. And then, so I've minimized the map. We have our table, and I'll adjust the detail band so that it is a little bit smaller here. Go ahead and minimize this a little bit to make sure that everything fits on the page. And we should be good here. So the last thing that I want to do is just copy over the footer to give it a nice final touch. And there we go. So I'm going to hit save here. And I'm going to navigate back to our web application, and it should update automatically. So we've saved the report. Again, it's in our ArcGIS Enterprise portal as an item. And if I select some work orders, which I will just select 3 here, these all have different status types, I believe. So let's go ahead and make sure we do that. There we go. And I'll select our newly created report template. And so what that's going to do is use the features that we're passing in from our web application. It's going to get the object IDs of each of those fields or each of those features. It's going to go into our report template, and it's going to pass in each of those object IDs. And you can see we have a parameter inside of our report template that just comes with the report template. You don't have to configure this. And that's how it knows what features to report on. Now that our report's been successfully, we'll see in a second here if it really is successful, but it's been able to be generated here. So let's make sure that we have all of the different features that we wanted on the report. So that looks great. We have our logo, the title, we have our pie chart reporting on the different work order statuses. And then we also have our table and we have our map. So within just a few minutes here, this has been at least most 10 minutes. We created a report. We have dynamic text at the bottom, actually getting the current date, page number. Within just a few minutes, utilizing the sample package, we were able to create this report that's pretty much production ready, right? If you want to use this for production use, right, for a web application that you're working on, and then maybe you get some feedback and folks are saying, hey, can you tweak this? Can you tweak that? Again, like we saw here in the report template, it's just a matter of dragging and dropping report elements over and, configuring settings, right? It's all a matter of configuring. There's no custom coding involved. So when it comes to quickly making changes and adjustments based on your organization's needs, based on your client's needs, there's really low time investment when it comes to building these sorts of things. Now, when you look at the other hand here, Experience Builder and how that compares, Experience Builder doesn't have a built-in designer. So there are laborious workarounds with Microsoft Word and ArcGIS Pro to get everything connected and to have PDF reports available in your web applications. So if we're talking about time savings here, Experience Builder is not going to give you that edge and be able to generate these reports in a way that's efficient for your organization. It also has basic feature report widgets within Experience Builder. So again, it's basic, so it lacks configurability if you're talking about the advanced functionality as well that Burgess Studio reporting provides. Again, we have the most comprehensive list or set of tools within the ArcGIS platform. Experience Builder certainly lacks that. Examples are related data. It's hard to connect to third-party systems, related data within your ArcGIS system as well. And then things like conditional formatting and charts like we saw here. So a lot of these things, if you're utilizing Experience Builder solely and vanilla ArcGIS, then those sorts of things are going to require custom coding, which if you can avoid, you certainly want to do to save time and costs. When it comes to studio reporting, like we saw in the example here, there was an easy drag and drop design experience. You're able to create a production-ready report within just a few minutes, and it's browser-based, so you don't have to get into Microsoft Word, you don't have to get into ArcGIS Pro. You can share this with your colleagues to start building out your reports with just a simple link. And then, of course, there's the advanced configuration, and really just to put another point on this is that it helps meet your enterprise level requirements. So, your organizations, they have complex needs and folks want different things and they want to see different things in PDFs and the applications and the reports, and we support that. So instead of running into roadblocks with Experience Builder, you have all the tools that you need within Vertigis Studio Reporting to get the job done. There's also superior efficiency when it comes to Studio Reporting. So on average, Studio reports can be built 5 times faster than Experience Builder. This comes from a study that we did. And 5 times faster, this is really being generous to Experience Builder. As we saw, we were able to create this report within just a few minutes. Let's say 10 minutes. You certainly wouldn't be able to build the same level of report within 50 minutes using Experience Builder. That would take you certainly several hours at the very minimum to, more likely days and weeks to complete. When it comes to maintenance costs, Vertigis Studio is relatively low compared to Experience Builder because it automatically aligns with ArcGIS changes. There's no code maintenance required. When you're talking about building advanced reports in Experience Builder, it's going to require custom code. And this requires upgrades that add steps. You have to acquire expertise, right? Developer power as well. So that the custom code requires manual testing and fixes. All of that compounds over time to be quite expensive, really, in the long run when you start to include more and more advanced functionality within your experience builder applications. Whether you're paying an internal developer or a contractor to get this type of work done, it's going to cost a lot more in the end than if you were to use Vertigis Studio, which has a very low, stable total cost of ownership over time through the configurable strategies that we provide. And one final note before I pass it off to Peter is if you're still using Crystal Reports, I know some of you probably still are, it's been deprecated. So now is really the time to move off of that and to start using Vertigis Studio Reporting for your reporting needs. All right, looks like we have a third poll here. Peter, if you want to bring that up. The question is, which feature of Vertigis Studio Reporting do you find most valuable?
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Lucas.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I think we have some questions for you from Paul. Paul, did you have any questions that came up that were top of mind that maybe the greater group can get some value from?
Yeah, there's a few I'm trying to catch up on. I guess we can utilize Lucas to answer some of these while I'm answering the other ones as well. One of them here, can you join tables from different data sources within Reporting Studio Reporting?
Can you join data from different data sources with Reporting Studio? Okay. Yeah, certainly. So you can join tables. That's certainly one of the biggest value propositions that we have with Studio Reporting is to be able to connect to related data, whether that lives in your ArcGIS ecosystem as a related table or a separate feature service, or if it's internal data from like a SQL table or like a third-party system as well. So we actually have a tech tip on that topic, a tech tip video. It's on YouTube. And Vimeo as well that I worked on that I'm sure we could find the link to and pop it in the chat here.
Yeah, I can throw it in the chat for sure. Okay, we've got another one here. Are data sources stored in the report itself, or can they be shared or reused for a different project?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the data sources are stored. It's not specific to that report template. So once you connect a data source, you can actually utilize it for multiple different report templates. And we did that on purpose so that it gives you that flexibility. You don't have to connect it multiple different times.
Yeah, there's one last one here. What programming language does the report use to configure conditional formatting? We'll answer that one.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question too. So it utilizes Dev Express. Yeah, Studio Reporting and Studio Printing are both built on that language if you want to do expressions and things of that nature. Yeah, Dev Express would be the way to go.
All right, let's keep it going here. We can get to the poll here in a second. We'll let people vote, continue to vote. Regarding reporting, is it possible to invoke a SQL store procedure and use that within the report when it is run? I've seen this done before, and so it's definitely possible, but go ahead and expand on that if you want.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to expand on that, Paul, yeah, if you want to expand on that.
Yeah, it's absolutely possible. Yeah, you can utilize the existing stored procedures and call them within the report just using a simple script to do it. So they're absolutely possible. Seen it done on obviously large data sets and generating. I've seen generated to 100, 200 page reports in a matter of seconds using these stored procedures. So really, if they're available and you can use them, take advantage for sure.
Okay, we still have a bit of time, Paul. Were there other questions that came in that you answered that might the greater group might find value from?
I think I covered all of the questions in the chat here. Well, I guess this is a little bit different. Are data sources reusable with different users if you have multiple people creating reports?
That's a good question. Do you know the answer, Paul, off the top of your head? I would guess that it's individual by the user, but you have to check that.
It depends on maybe I'm not understanding the question, but it depends on the context here. So each report's going to have one or more data sources that is configurable. The report itself will have permissions assigned to it. I think this is what you're asking. But theoretically, the data that you're referencing could also have permissions on it. So not everybody has access to it, either through firewall access or maybe through permissions or something else. So maybe add a little bit more context to that question. I can answer that better. But yeah, maybe put maybe an example there of what you're trying to do there.
Yeah, I believe though that like when you log into the designer, your login will be able to view the data sources that you yourself have set up
Yes.
already for previous reports.
Okay.
If you log in with a separate user,
yeah,
I don't believe
yeah.
you can share that data source connection.
Yeah, no, I understand the question now. I thought it was in the context of actually generating the report. So, so it's the data sources themselves in Designer are set up by individual user. So yes, like Lucas was just saying, if you sign into Designer, add a data source, and it's there for that user. If you sign in as a different user to the Designer, you'll have to add that source again. So it is by user, the list of data sources there.
Okay, so the question or the poll has closed, and we're seeing dynamic data-driven reports by far being the #1 contender. Paul and Lucas, did you have any thoughts of this results? Anything surprising here?
No, really not super surprising. The dynamic capability of the data-driven reports, I mean, that's certainly the biggest piece of reporting, being able to dynamically add the data into the report templates and get the latest up-to-date reports. Yeah, integration with ArcGIS SQL. Yeah, that's certainly another big piece of why we do what we do. I would be interested to know a little bit more. Maybe you want to put it in the chat. But which of those is most important? I would guess it's ArcGIS. But if you answer that poll question and you answered with integration, and if you're using SQL, I'd be happy to hear from you and understand, how you're connecting to SQL, what type of data you're connecting to. So, always looking to learn more about what our customers are doing.
Excellent. Paul, did any questions come in since the poll is closed?
Yeah, quite a few actually. I'm just actually looking for the tech tip. It was asked, is there a tech tip for incorporating SQL store procedures? I think there's an old one. I'm just trying to locate that one, so I'll send it to you when I find it. Okay, so a comment about potentially confusing when multiple people are editing a report. Okay, I can respond to that feedback just about multiple people editing a report there at the same time.
It looks like there's also a question about if the session will be recorded. Yes, the session will be recorded. Peter, I believe you'll provide the recording at a later time as well, or
yeah, we will make it available. We haven't figured out the final method of dissemination, but because it's going to be a very large recording, I think what we're going to do is split it up into the individual sessions and then utilize that method of smaller delivery for each session. But we do have many PowerPoints have been converted to PDF and have been uploaded. There is a tab beside the question button widget at the top. It looks like a piece of paper with a paper clip on it. That's where you can find 4 presentations that we've uploaded. We've just uploaded the product showcase for you to download, the introduction, the GIS Day for utilities from Greg, networks, and the road ahead from Cam. So as we get some of the speakers, we're going to be uploading them throughout the rest of the day for your convenience, of course. And we still have 5 minutes. So anything coming into mind? Any last minute kind of thoughts? Paul and Lucas?
It looks like.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Lucas.
I was just going to say, it looks like Usman. Good to hear from you, Usman. But it looks like he's asking about connecting to an AWS data lake as a data source. So because AWS data lakes, there's an API, open API that you can connect to. The answer would be yes. You can connect to that and report on information coming from that data lake.
Okay, so what we're going to do is close the poll, and I'm going to share my screen. It's just really an informational slide about the product showcases. So we will be doing them in January in 2026, and you can always register at the top of the slide deck. The slide deck that's been uploaded, this slide should be there, and you should be able to just click here and go directly to register. And the previously recorded sessions are down here at this link. So please give that a try. If you're running into any problems, please let us know, and we'll try to fix those. So thank you, Lucas. Amazing presentation as always. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter, for having me. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And let me know if you have any questions.
Thanks, Lucas.